Have you ever seen someone who takes such a promising stance on Bitcoin? Well, there are a couple of them. Just a few days ago, former Coinbase CTO and venture capitalist Balaji Srinivasan presented a prediction of Bitcoin skyrocketing to $1 million by June 17th. Of course, this prediction popped out of nowhere and stirred different reactions. As investors try to get a full grasp of this bombshell-like forecast, Jack Mallers just added fuel to the fire. Bitcoin is a lot of things to many people. It's digital gold, a speculative investment, a tech experiment, a decentralized replacement for fiat money, and many more. However, being compared to a central bank is likely the last thing the cryptocurrency creator Satoshi Nakamoto expected their creation to be likened to. But that's what Strike CEO Jack Mallers explained in a Twitter thread. Is he right, though? Jack Mallers is a faithful Bitcoin believer. Being the CEO of Chicago-based Bitcoin payment provider Strike, he played a crucial role in bringing Bitcoin broadly to El Salvador. In a Twitter thread, he compared the top cryptocurrency to a central bank, more specifically tagging it as the central banking system of the internet. He tweeted on February 21st, the Bitcoin network, often shortened to hashtag Bitcoin or simply BTC, is the central banking system of the internet, or internet. Mallers' Twitter thread acknowledged that Bitcoin's network was made to alleviate financial crises, much like central banks are meant to do. The big distinction between Bitcoin and central banks is that the government cannot increase the Bitcoin system like they can for the current fiat system. It is now more than 14 years since Bitcoin's inception, and the world is bracing for another collapse of the financial system. So will Bitcoin be ready to bail out the internet for the next major financial crisis? Or is it going to attain the $1 million price forecast? Whatever the answer is, Jack Mallers is not backing down on crypto anytime soon. With the Federal Reserve's recent $300 billion injection into the banking industry, Strike CEO Jack Mallers believes Bitcoin is prepared for a surge. According to Mallers, the US currency is entering a new phase of chronically high inflation, which will only benefit Bitcoin. In an interview with CNBC, co-anchor Kelly Evans asked the CEO why consumers could anticipate Bitcoin to skyrocket during a financial crisis, which has historically been a deflationary time. He referenced former Coinbase CTO Balaji Srinivasan, who recently predicted that the dollar will hyperinflate, causing Bitcoin to reach $1 million in the next 90 days. But why are they so confident? Strike CEO Jack Mallers announced at Bitcoin 2022 that the company has partnered with three of the world's largest payment providers, Shopify, NCR, and Blackhawk Network, to activate Bitcoin payments at stores throughout the country. He further explained that the integration of eliminated legacy banks from the payment process, saving merchants on fees and enabling privacy for shoppers. You're going to be able to walk into a grocery store, to Whole Foods, to a Chipotle. If you want to use a Lightning node over Tor, you do that. Any online merchant that uses Shopify can accept payments without the 1949 Boomer credit card network, receive it instantly, cash final, no intermediary, no 3% fee, he said. The announcement was a major innovation in merchants' ability to interact with the Bitcoin network. Users also use private and permissionless purchases throughout the US, and they were excited to take advantage of the cheap, instant, and open access offered by Bitcoin. An image shared by Malters as part of the presentation listed on McDonald's, Walmart, Walgreens, and more US franchises as place where Strike integration was usable. Mallers also emphasized that he is dedicated to protecting Bitcoin innovation in the United States, attesting, "I've been working with Senator Cynthia Lummis to make sure that in the United States of America, we support this open payment standard and it isn't threatened by anybody else." 2 years ago, at Bitcoin 2021, Mallers and President Nayib Bukele announced that El Salvador would introduce a bill to make Bitcoin legal tender. This was a historic moment and turning point in its rapid adoption. Strike is a global payment network that uses Lightning. After the El Salvador announcement, the industry has been looked at by Mallers as a leader in global adoption and development towards nation-state Bitcoin usage. The announcement only added to the company's reputation for increasing access to the Bitcoin network. Mallers finished the presentation by saying, "This is our announcement," referring to the larger Bitcoin community. Mallers' thesis was straightforward. Bitcoin is money with a fixed quantity, whereas the dollar is not. Hence, Bitcoin will appreciate against the dollar as more of the latter enters circulation. The Federal Reserve backed banks with $300 billion as part of its new Banks Term Financing Program, wiping over half of the progress made and lowering its balance sheet over the previous year. The central bank has been seeking to bring consistently high inflation, which has peaked at 9.1% in June of 2022, back down to its target rate of 2%. Though inflation remains high at 6%, markets have already shifted their expectations for the Fed to begin cutting rates from next year. They have to backstop these things with new money, Mallers continued, referring to the institutions struggling in the aftermath of the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank. You're seeing scarce assets, risky assets be major winners here, he added. Also, BitMEX co-founder Arthur Hayes released a blog post with similar predictions, claiming that the Fed's new scheme will usher in unlimited money printing. In support of Hayes and Mallers, the on-chain analytics business platform Glassnode has identified major on-chain indications, indicating that Bitcoin has returned to the early bull market territory. Few longer-term investors appear to be motivated to take profits into this rally, suggesting exceptional strength and reflecting ideas about Bitcoin's vital position in the future of the global financial system, Glassnode noted. Regardless of the budding excitement about Bitcoin, Balaji Srinivasan had many skeptical of his latest prediction that Bitcoin will move to $1 million within 90 days. What could he really be after with such a bullish public bet? Balaji has explained that his $2 million gamble wasn't about making money, but about settling in ideological matters surrounding the US dollar inflation. In a response tweet to angel investor Jason Calacanis, Balaji explained that his bet was not initially proposed by him, but by James Medlock on Twitter. On the other hand, Medlock, who was surprised to see someone take up the offer, later considered it the most profitable crap post in history. I believe Medlock would agree that this is an ideological bet, like the Simon Ehrlich bet, which resolved a famous difference of opinions between libertarians and progressives, Balaji wrote. Meanwhile, the Simon Ehrlich bet was a bet between Professors Julian Simon and Paul Ehrlich in 1980 to settle their conflicting theories about human overpopulation and resource scarcity. Simon, who argued that the human race will not be driven to poverty and famine by overpopulation, ultimately won the bet, with Ehrlich sending him a check for $576 in October of 1990. Balaji's theory about hyper-Bitcoinization predicts an unhindered flow of capital into Bitcoin as the Federal Reserve injects trillions of dollars into the economy to protect the banking system. As he stated, others, including Jack Dorsey, have predicted near-term hyperinflation for the US dollar in recent years. The former CTO added that he was publicly committed to never selling his Bitcoin for USD unless legally compelled to do so, and that he no longer has faith in the US banking system. Citing Moody's negative outlook on the banking system released earlier this month and the most recent surge in Chinese banking shares over global competitors, he said, "I am sadly not alone in this loss of faith in the US banking. If the US dollar fails, the free world needs Bitcoin as the reserve currency, not RMB," he said. Nonetheless, numerous critics have blasted Balaji's predictions as being overzealous, if not outright self-interested. Dmitry Kofinas on Twitter called Balaji's claims about rising Chinese banks a lie, and his prediction about USD hyperinflation ideologically driven and ignorant. However, certain Bitcoin bulls don't find it so unreasonable. BitMEX's co-founder, Arthur Hayes, has acknowledged that the Federal Reserve's new bank term funding program would result in infinite money printing, while Strike CEO Jack Mallers added that the Federal Reserve is blowing up the financial system. Right now, everyone is on edge. Certain predictions don't resonate well with most investors, again, given that everything that has happened in a turbulent 2022. Jack Mallers is bullish about Bitcoin, and his track records prove him right. Balaji is also bullish, given his outrageous bet with James Medlock. The future of crypto is uncertain, but in a way, predictions have helped to make it less blurry. With the long-term emphasis, things would definitely unfold for the industry. Good or bad? Well, nothing is assured yet. After all, we don't have all the answers. But that's going to do it for today's video. Make sure you click on the subscribe notification buttons, and we'll see you in the next video.